Have you ever had inspiration and you boldly and with joy acted upon your inspiration, and then at some point it didn't go where you thought it was going to go? It didn't turn out the way you thought it was going to turn out. Maybe it didn't give you what you thought it was going to give you. And all of a sudden, the original inspiration is completely lost and you end up in some form of exasperation or frustration. And then you can end up in a situation where you start second guessing newly arising inspirations, because I followed my inspiration last time and look where that ended up. I don't know if you can relate to that, but there are a lot of people in my community who have given me that kind of example of something that's going on for them or what's happened for them in one form or another, with some creative, inspired thing that arose inside of them, like a calling, whether it was like an actual massive purposeful feeling of direction in your life, or whether it was one little idea that came up to go somewhere or do something, a project, whatever it is. And I also have people in my personal network where we've had conversations about this very interesting thing that we do as human beings when it comes to inspirations. So this is just going to be a little conversation reflection on what is inspiration and what do we do as human beings to the inspiration that we are gifted. How do our minds turn inspiration into expiration, meaning we deaden it because we get all up in the grill of life's mystery and beauty of these inspired ideas and creative urges that come to us. So inspiration, if you think about it, if you look at the word, I once read that it means in spirit, of the spirit, in spirit, inspiration. And so inspirations are not of you, they're not of your personality, they're not of your ego, they're not of your mind, they're not of your personality self. They are, I like to think of them as little twinkles in the ether of universal intelligence that connect in with, come onto the radar of your individuated consciousness, and you go, aha, I've had an idea, I've had an inspiration. You ain't had nothing. You got given something, right? And by the way, I laugh about this because, like, as I'm sharing this, I've done all these things. Like, I've been all these places. I've been inspiration to expiration to exasperation because my mind's gotten in the way and made up all these stories about what inspiration is and what you should do with it and what it should give you. And I've also done the thing where I'm like, I've had an inspiration. And really what's happened is this beautiful life force energy to which you belong has gifted on the waves of energy an inspired idea, and it's come into your consciousness. And so it's a really beautiful thing because it's your connection to all that is. It comes to you and through you. And then you have this thing called a mind, which is like a tool. And it's like it's a little bit like a GPS system. It's a little bit like a calculator, a data cruncher. Its job is really to help you do things in your life and make sense of the world around you. And it's very good at taking an inspiration and activating it into expression in the outer world. So it goes from a twinkle in the ether into some kind of physical form or self-expression in the world. And if that's where the mind stopped its job, everything would probably be beauty. But the mind goes a little bit further because we have been conditioned to an outcomes obsession as human beings in modern society. Maybe not everybody, maybe that isn't the case for you, but for a lot of people it is, where we take beauty and inspiration and we go, now what do I do with it and what will that get me? Where will that take me? What will be the outcome? What result will occur? And that's part of this whole, like, we live to achieve culture. And a little bit of the obsession about kind of productivity and, you know, even this idea that, oh, well, if I'm an inspired creator of something, art, writing, business, beauty, whatever it is, you know, it could be anything that you're creating and doing in the world that comes from inspiration, that there has to be some kind of reason for that. Like it's going to do something for the world, or it's going to do something for me, or it's going to do something for all of us. And so we get very results focused. This is the point at which the inspiration, it's like, what inspiration was that? It kind of gets lost back in the moment when it arose, and our minds get very locked into doing, being human, doing the inspiration instead of the inspiration doing us. The difference being when the inspiration is doing you, you are in the present moment and you are a channel and you are bringing forth something very beautiful. Again, it might be art, it might be just vocal self-expression, it might be some kind of creativity, it might be a business, it might be in relationship, the way you parent your children, whatever it might be. Versus, I had this inspired idea a while ago and now I'm doing it. And my mind is doing it, and my ego is doing it, my personality self is doing it, and my agenda and my schedule is doing it. And now we've injected ourselves in such that the original inspiration, and sometimes even the feeling of that, the expansiveness of that, the joy of that, the beauty of that, has sometimes been a little lost or completely lost, and we have become obsessed and lost in the mind's attachment to assumptions about, expectations of, oh, well, if I've made this beautiful piece of music, or I've made this beautiful business, then it must have to become, right? Because it was inspired, because it was in spirit, it clearly must mean that it is going to be, and then we make up our minds from an attachment to, that must mean it's going to be, and then we list out all these things. That it's going to give me this, it's going to be this, it's going to whatever. Is that so? Is that so? Maybe for some people, maybe not. And then we make up our minds, because we're meaning-making machines. Oh, well, I must have got that wrong. That mustn't have been an inspired idea, because it didn't give me what I thought it was going to give me. It didn't go where I thought it was going to go. And again, what if the inspiration and the whole point is to be in the inspiration and to let the inspiration have life? For it to come through you and for it to paint onto the canvas of reality. And what if that is the point? And what if it's not about then what happens next? Results focused, obsession with outcomes focused, point of perspective that we hold, where we want to funnel reality in a certain way. And the reason I'm talking about this is because I see a lot of people who have these beautiful inspirations and then they're suffering because the inspiration has not given them what they thought it was going to give them. There hasn't been an outcome in the physical world, a reaction from other people, whatever it is, in the way their mind thought it would. But they brought the inspiration to life and it's beautiful. And their work is beautiful, whether it's creativity, writing, song, dance, business, relationships, the way they've made their house be really beautiful and that really works for them, whatever it is. But it hasn't led to something that their mind made up about it. And there's an opportunity for us to notice all of that. And it's not right or wrong to want your inspirations and your creativity to go somewhere at all. But it's when that becomes exasperation and suffering, it's just flat out not working, and it's flat out not in sync with your spirit, and it's flat out not in sync with the original inspiration. So something's gone amiss, something's gone awry. So what is the opportunity to come back? And, that's where you might ponder, I wonder if I was just in the present moment with this inspiration and I just let it have life through me and that was it. And then I just let life be. And if I have another inspiration, I give life to that, and it might be related to the original or not. And if I continue to move in the present moment, loving and living inspirations in that way, I wonder what might happen instead of, I've had an inspired idea, now I've got to do it. And I've got to do it with my mind, and I've got to do it with my human doingness. It's very subtle. On the outside, you can't probably tell the difference between someone who's living the inspiration and someone who's trying to do it and create outcomes and is attached to results, other than maybe the way that they feel. And it's not really anyone else's concern. It's only your sacred relationship with yourself and your sense of what's going on for you, and that's your business and nobody else's business. But if you want to have a life of grace and flow and a synchronized dance with the consciousness that you belong to, then anything that carries you out and away from that and into a juddery, disconnected, emotionally burdened sense, it doesn't work, right? And so some of us want to come back into alignment. And you know, maybe you can relate that there have been times, moments in your life, maybe fleeting moments, when you have been inspired by something or been in motion of something, being a certain way, doing something, having an idea, and you felt that kind of connection, that connectedness to something like really a lot more expansive than you, something that was not coming from your mind, like a moment of connection. And the final thing I would leave you with is really the one and only thing that will break the connection is not life around you, but is your own very mind when it gets in the way and wants to start to get busy with. I wonder what I can do with this, and I wonder what this means, and I wonder if I'm going to get what I want, and projecting, no longer being present with the inspiration and the feeling, now projecting into the future and trying to extrapolate and create and attach on, make it mean something about you, make it mean something about what's going to happen. And it's not an easy practice, right? That's why we have conversations about consciousness, our minds, conscious living, soul alignment, because the condition of being human is very gravitational. And it takes presence and self-awareness to witness all the ways that we, you and I, and our personality selves do this to ourselves. And the way society conditions on top of that as like an added weight that, well, of course you should be doing something with that, and you should be getting something from that, and you should be achieving something from that. And if you're not, then it means X, Y, Z things about you. And just say no to that if you don't like it. And just say, I am spirit embodied here, creation, consciousness dancing through me. Sometimes I have inspirations, I'm going to honor them, give life to them, and allow. And see how it feels. Sometimes you might notice it feels a lot better than getting lost in the noise of this. Much love to you. If this has been helpful and you're here on my social media and you're not subscribed, please subscribe so we can stay in touch. Please share this with anyone that you think might be useful for them, and I look forward to sharing more with you really soon.